Welcome to today's episode of The Bald Book Geek. Like, sub, do the usual. If you want uncensored versions of these videos, exclusive early access, and more, check out my Patreon page. And also, for exclusive content on YouTube, consider becoming a member. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and let's start the show. In recent weeks, there's been some very interesting topics coming up in criticism of media, and I find them interesting. Stuckmann came out and said he's a film appreciation channel and won't talk negatively about films. The problem is, the guy who literally got famous on this app talking negatively about films, is it because he wants industry people to be nice to him? Who knows? I always find it interesting, like, film criticism and this weird notion that you have to be positive about everything because people worked hard on it. That I find I do find it very disingenuous when people say that, for simple reason. If you are creating art in some form or another, regardless of how hard you worked on it, you have to deal with criticism, and you have to be honest about it. Not everything is for everyone. And I find his take reflective of a bigger problem within YouTube, is toxic positivity. And I saw that a lot in the book community, that everything has to be happy, no negative opinions. Negative opinions are seen as attention seeking, or as it's just, or clickbait or whatever. And it frustrates me that, you know, it's as someone who has dipped his toe into the creative industries with an art background, you end up, you know, everything gets ripped apart. That's it. And that's the nature of it. Regardless of how hard people worked on it, regardless of how hard what went into it, if it's not a good piece of content, no one's going to engage with it, and it's going to get ripped apart. And I see this so much, and it is toxic positivity. It is that thing of, we must be nice about it. There are a lot of people within YouTube, on social media platforms, I lost a lot of respect for. And I find that interesting over the years. I used to be a big follower of Fellowship of the Fans, but, you know, they're so guarded and so willing to lick someone's butt that, to me, everything started feeling very disingenuous. There's so many word blocks, you can't actually have an honest conversation in their live streams anymore. They cry about, you know, you have to be positive, you have to be this, you have to be that. And even, we saw it with Rings of Power, we see it with God knows what else, Star Trek, Disney, Star Wars. Everyone has to be positive and happy. It's absurd, and completely devalues the point of the art. If you can't be honest about what's being put in front of you, what's the point in doing it? What is the point of creating something if you can't be honest about that creation and give your opinion? Just think of it that way. So, what I've found, and this is what I've seen in my comments when I've criticised something or liked something, it goes both ways, that people get really upset that either your opinion doesn't match theirs, they devalue your opinion, they attack you, they get personal. And I saw it a lot with the Rings of Power stuff. I saw it a lot with recent talks on Star Wars and Disney and all of this stuff. And I always get the same people chiming in with the same comments. Stay in your lane. It's beautifully shot. It's visually stunning. So, a film is more than just the visuals. And there are some really good looking movies. Like, I love a film called Eon Flux. it's not a great movie. And I think everyone that's seen it will say that. It's the last performance of Peter Postlethwaite, by the way, who I adore. But visually, it's interesting. Visually, the costume design, everything about it is interesting, and it's a popcorn movie with a very interesting stylistic. And the thing is, we live in an age where a lot of movies tend to either look the same, the stylistics are missing drastically, or it feels a generic cash grab, i.e. Marvel. Like, I remember when, like, how can I put this? You have, I'll pick on Star Wars: A New Hope. That film is basically King Arthur in space. It is the monomyth story retold in space. And it's really good. It's, if not one of the greatest space operas ever created. And, you know, you see this kind of... Visually it's interesting. Story-wise it's interesting. The characters are interesting. And it's just fascinating. But what Disney did was take that, and I have problems with the prequels, don't get me wrong, and they stripped it of what made it great. They stripped it of the hero's journey. They stripped it of the simple, eloquent storytelling. We live in an age where movies like Taxi Driver would never get made now. Like, it wouldn't. There is no way around that. It would be viewed as problematic. It would be viewed as this. It would be viewed as that. It would get ripped apart for its themes, its portrayals. But, you know, film criticism is extremely important. Whether it's good or bad. And I see that. I talked about, I can't even remember the video now, but I did a glowing review of a film. And no one was interested in it. It didn't get many views, but it got a really negative reaction. And I'm like, why? I'm being honest, I enjoyed it. Not everyone enjoyed it, but, you know, apparently I was being paid by someone. I was doing this, I was doing that. I need to declare my sponsorships. It's not true. I just gave a nice opinion about a really good film. I talked about The Walking Dead, The One Who's Lived, and I'm going to say this, I do love The Walking Dead despite the problems and the latter seasons, but the spin-offs are proving to be interesting. And I can't wait to see the end of their story, but my god, the comments on that were fascinating. And it doesn't matter whether your opinion is positive or negative, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get crap for just having an opinion that doesn't match theirs. But why should we be nice about bad media or things we don't like or lie to your audience? There are a lot of people that do this. That just so, you know, we can pat the people that made it on the heads and tell them they're good. It's a fascinating little blip in how we consume media. And I think how we consume media is interesting now anyway. I can't think of the last time I went to the movies. I actually can't think of the last time I went to see a film at the movies. There aren't Oppenheimer. That's the last film I went to see at the cinema, and it was fantastic. I think it was that one. I thought it was absolutely spectacular. A bit slow-paced, but absolutely spectacular. So I do wonder what would be next. What would be a good film to see? And I don't see many of them. I don't see a lot of films that make me go wow anymore. And it's just fascinating. this dismissal of your opinion because, you know, if you criticize it, you're an ist. If you criticize it, you're a phobe. If you criticize it, you're this, you're that. Like, and people clap like seals to consume mediocre content all the time. And I see that. I see that a lot. And I don't get it. I don't get why we have to be so positive and happy about a film or a TV show all the time. Just because, oh, people like it. Okay, does it matter? Oh, people worked hard on it. No, it doesn't matter. I thought Interview with a Vampire, the AMC thing, was atrocious. And I love Anne Rice. My God, my criticism of that show got rallied against because apparently it was ist. And all I say in those videos where I talk about it is it's not the story. And I even say if it was just a standalone vampire show, it would be good. That's it. That's what I say. That's how I deal with it. Like, if that was a standalone show that wasn't based on one of the greatest vampire novels, controversial opinion, ever created, I think it would have been an okay show. But, you know, to shoehorn Anne Rice into it was a joke. That's what I find fascinating. So, my thing is, you can't win. But the idea that you don't have to like the same stuff as everyone else, or you have to hate the same stuff as everyone else, I mean, it's fascinating. I say this as someone who loves a good film, a good TV show. I think film as a medium is on its last knees. It's on its knees. It's not doing great. It's not creating anything new. And I find that just fascinating. And the hypocrisy of a lot of people. And I saw it in BookTube. I'm going to just name this person, Sasha Ellsberg. Terrible writer. Okay, BookTuber. Not my type of books, but I have no problems with her personally. The whole thing I found quite interesting about the whole thing is that she openly admitted that she doesn't like giving negative reviews because she might meet the writer. And I think if you're too involved in everything, it can be a problem. Like, it can be a major problem. And I don't trust her criticism of books or her opinions at all because of that statement. And why does everything have to be positive? Why do people write off? And I think a lot of it is these people are just purely, what's the word? They realise they have to build Chris Stegman. They realise they have to build a career. They have to build something with industry people. It's that whole thing. They want to get in with these people, and I think a lot of people, their criticism becomes detrite. It becomes useless because I don't trust it. If you have to be positive about everything, if you have to be this, if you have to be that, if you want to get in that industry, you have to look ass, and there's no way around it. Like, that's the thing I found when I was with a traditional publisher. I found that too, and that was long before YouTube for me. Long before. But I created, I create videos that are my opinion, and other people do, and whether it's good or bad, and I refuse to sort of bow down to people. I got heat for making videos during the Hollywood strikes, because apparently I'm promoting their movies and things, and I'm like, I'm ripping it apart. I mean, Barbie was an interesting one. Barbie was uneven film, and there was this trite person on Twitter with pink hair and a nose ring, so you know the type, who wrote transmasculine of Ken and Barbie. Oh dear God, shut up. Like, you read YA novels, think Lord of the Rings is gay, and you rolled on that. Seriously, how pathetic can these people be? Huh. Ironically, they name themselves after a poisonous substance, and all I keep thinking is, fits your personality. Poison. But my thing is, and this is something I want honest opinions. I want film criticism. I want book criticism. I want TV, video games. I want honesty. I don't want just happy, happy, happy. I want honesty. And when something is nothing but glowing, brilliant reviews, it doesn't wash with me, because I know when you're on the inside of this, you realise there's a lot more at play than just someone's opinion. It's why I've never got in bed with certain people, and I've had, metaphorically speaking, and I've had offers, and I will never do that. It's interesting because I've seen this in my comments. I see it in other people's comments. There's a booktuber I follow, and he's really good, by the way, that gets comments like, why are they paying you for this good review, and this and that. And the thing is, the general public are more wise to this now than they've ever been. It's fascinating. And it's weird to watch. I do feel like sometimes I am Jane Goodall in YouTubers in the Mist with these people. And as someone that's very prideful on his honesty when it comes to what he's criticising, how dare I have a negative opinion? Zenith. I reviewed Sash Rasberg's book Zenith, and it was terrible. Like, it's bad. It's honestly one of the worst books I've read in my life. And, oh my God, that opened a mouth of hell with people. Where I just thought, I'm over this now? But, and then they do the pile-on thing, so you'd shut up. It's fascinating to witness. And I'm quite cold to it now. And it's funny how people will interpret your words to fit their ideology or their motivation for being here. I think film criticism is important because, and going back to the original point of this video, is that when it comes to films, when it comes to entertainment, it's so personal. And if you find someone like-minded, you can find someone that maybe their opinion matches yours and you can enjoy it. And there are plenty of films, like I said, Aeon Flux, that are pure eye candy. Stylistically speaking, they're fantastic. I love the Informers movie, despite its problems. But then again, I'm a Bret Easton Ellis fan. I love the Less Than Zero movie from the 80s. But it's not representative of the book. But you can do that if it's done well. I just think disingenuous people rule these platforms and rule social media and blog spaces and YouTube spaces and book talk and internet spaces completely. And the problem is, the second you're very negative about any book or something, there was someone on Book Talk ranting the other day that I found, well, other day, other year, that I found fascinating. She was crying that this person gave a book as if I could give it 0 stars, I would. And I'm like, it was so funny though, like, well, my no book deserves 0 stars. Someone wrote this. Someone worked hard on this. It doesn't matter. The work you put into something doesn't matter. Especially when you're creating something that is designed to be consumed. A book, a movie, a television show, a video game. That's it. I find it fascinating with this whole situation is that people are so willing to, what's the word? Break their own moral code and be disingenuous. And it's not helped by the offers. I will say this is a thing. Sometimes it's that thing of, you get emails from publishers like, you don't even have to read the book, just hold it up on camera for 5 seconds and say something nice. No. And they'll pay you for it. They will actually pay you for it, and companies will ask you not to declare the sponsorship. I had the same situation with Amazon over Rings of Power. They wanted to pay me, and I'll talk about this in another video pretty soon, to promote Rings of Power. But they were very strict on what I could say. I couldn't be honest. Let's be real. That's what it came down to. Everything had to be positive. And they were going to pay me a shit ton of money. Like, and I mean that, like tons of money. And I just kind of sit there like, I just sat there and I was so tempted because I needed the money at the time. Because a lot has happened in recent years and money talks. But I turned it down. I had to turn it down. I had to shut that door and go, I can't do this. I entertained them for a little while, but I made the decision. You know, they were even willing to pay to have my channel algorithm boosted. Like, that is a thing that happens. It was disheartening, to say the least. And you kind of hit a point where you kind of give up because you can't. I just have to be me, and if that means being a caustic asshole, that means being a caustic asshole. I'd rather be honest with you guys. But I think film criticism and media criticism on YouTube suffers from a lot of problems. It suffers from this constant dribble of content, of people, of places, of everything else. Because people are so scared to be negative, because you will get pushback for a negative opinion. And that's unfortunate when you can't be honest, when you can't feel you can't be honest. And I have been there. It's kind of what ended my booktube career. I couldn't be honest with people. I didn't feel I could. I should have been. It would have been better. But there we go. I hold my hands up and say that I've been in this situation. When most movies now are ideological lectures on gender, on sexuality, on feminism, on everything, when escapism is seen as reality, when people say, I'm making it for modern audiences, what audiences are you talking about? Anime profiles on Twitter that cry that everything is ist and phobic? That's not an audience. They don't care about it. They just want to win. Bunch of repulsive people. And that's the truth. Like inhuman, repulsive people, Luddites on the internet that only care if it ticks a box. Like, I don't, these people are not an audience. And that's the thing about it. And I've seen this happen so many times in certain circles, in certain places, with certain people. Like, I don't want to be that person, and I think it's very disingenuous, and I think Chris has made a massive mistake here, and going back to him, that's how he got famous. That's how people found out who he was, not through positivity, through negativity. A lot of his early videos are just ripping movies apart. And now he's a filmmaker that wants to get good in the industry. He's not going to do that. Maybe someone's told him that. Maybe someone has said to him, maybe you need to be nice. I mean, Madam Web was atrocious. Like, that film was embarrassing. Let's be honest. And it just... I mean, there's so much bad media. I think people are kind of sick of it. I think people are sick of being lectured. I think people are sick of detrite people telling them what they should think and feel, and that they're something they're not for not liking something. The film industry is not in a good place, and when people were putting Barbie, a popcorn movie, and crying that it didn't get this person to get nominated for an Oscar, who cares? It's a popcorn movie that the first half was really good, and the second half became a lecture into detrite feminism and into everything else. So let's be honest. So, I will say this. When it comes to film criticism, listen to everyone. When it comes to media criticism, listen to everyone. Because if you don't, and you have an opinion, maybe you need to hear other opinions. Maybe you can't put yourself in that bubble. Because a lot of people just want to put themselves in a bubble of positivity and an echo chamber of people that agree with them. Tim Bolton, anyone? I mean, it's such a ridiculous situation, and at the end of the day, detrite creation on the internet by people who are being disingenuous, I think does more harm than good. You have to criticize the art, whether it's a popcorn movie, whether it's an indie film, whatever. There has to be criticism, good and bad. And it goes both ways. And if you're disingenuous, there's a problem. So tell me what you think in the comments below. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you had a wonderful day. Bye.